deep down, I think everyone knows, at least to some extent, what it takes to build a sick physique. It comprises some level of consistent training, along with sticking to a diet and eating the right foods. So the fact that the average person, and to be honest, 99% of the population have flabby stomachs, speaks to the fact that despite knowing what you have to do in order to be happy with your physique, no one actually does it. And it just comes back to your mindset and discipline. So what I'm not going to do is advise you on the specific exercises you should be doing at the gym or the specific foods that you should be eating in order to get a good physique, because that information is already so readily available and you can find it so easily. Instead, I'm going to focus on the mindset and discipline that you need to have in order to stick to your diet and to consistent training in the gym, which are the things that are going to lead to an aesthetic physique. The first thing I'm going to say to you is that your training and your diet is going to be something that continues for the rest of your life. You cannot achieve a sick physique without accepting the fact that committing to training and committing to a regimented diet is something that is ubiquitous for the rest of your life. And if you just got a bit queasy or felt a bit of resistance to that idea, the sooner that you come to accept that the fact of training relentlessly, day in, day out, showing up to the running track every day, showing up to the gym every day, no matter how you feel, is an essential element of ultimately achieving a physique that you're proud of and want. And I get where the resistance comes from. Being told that you have to train every day and stick to a diet, or at least stick to the right foods that are gonna achieve your goals 99% of the time. It's hard. And I get it. Rocking up to the gym when you don't want to, it's so hard. Rocking up to do a run when your legs are sore, or watching your friends eat ice cream while you abstain from it. It's hard. But the thing is, if you want a physique that's part of the top 1%, you simply have to sacrifice certain things in life. You don't necessarily have to forego eating things that you enjoy eating for the rest of your life. It's just you want to make sure that you're eating the right things 95% of the time. Of course, if you ever do go out with your friends and perhaps there's an ice cream shop and you're just like, whatever, I can do this because the other 95% of my meals are locked in and are ultimately progressing me towards my goal. And by no means do you have to train literally every day for the rest of your life, because of course things are going to come up that make you unable to do that. But as long as you're hitting the gym or doing whatever exercise it is that is progressing you to your goals, 95% of the time, you're going to achieve your goal regardless. The ultimate takeaway and what I'm trying to say here is that life is just hard and it's never going to get easier. I mean, to some extent, once you're consistent with training or eating the right foods, I think that over time, it becomes part of your identity. And therefore, you don't really have to exercise as much mental willpower to go to the gym or eat the right foods, because it's just kind of ingrained in your personality now. So in that sense, I guess it does become easier. But there's always going to be resistance no matter what. Like, I never want to do leg day. If I could, I would obviously just rather stay in bed. But the simple fact is that I'm not going to get to my goals unless I go and hit leg. It's hard, but that's just life. With the gym especially, I think a lot of people get caught up in not seeing any progress once they've started. So everyone just wants the quick fix of dopamine or reward for doing something immediately. But obviously one workout isn't going to change your physique. I think it's the wrong approach to start training and continually monitor for any changes in your physique, because it's simply not going to happen in such a short window of time. The mindset of saying, I'm going to train for 1 year, and then by the end of that year, I'm going to look sick, is in my opinion wrong, because you're not focusing on each workout as it comes. You're thinking of that workout and how that's ultimately going to contribute to your progress by the end of that year. And when you're neurotically thinking about that, I think it makes it so much harder to actually stay consistent with your training. because I think the mindset there is you're focusing on your workout today for how it's gonna impact your physique tomorrow. And when you realize that the next day nothing has changed in your physique, then you lose motivation and you lose the drive to actually want to train and make a change because you're not seeing the results that you want to see. Instead, if you just focus on each workout as it comes and forget about how this workout is going to impact your physique in the future, and instead focus purely on the systems that you have in place and kind of just forget about the goal. It's always good to have a goal in mind, but when you're constantly obsessing over that goal and realizing that you haven't achieved it yet, I think that's incredibly demoralizing. And instead, when you just focus on each workout, on each day as it comes, and making sure that you're doing the right thing to ultimately achieve that goal, it's much more peaceful, number one, on your mental state. But number two as well, you're not neurotically thinking, why did my workout last week have no impact on my physique this week? When you focus on each day as it comes and forget about why hasn't my physique changed yet, you're going to go through longer periods of time without thinking about how your physique has changed. And then one day you might be doing bicep curls. And as you watch yourself pick up the dumbbells and start doing the curls, you realize, hang on, that bicep vein was never there before. And that might be a few months into your lifting journey. You might be doing lateral raises and you think, wow, my shoulders actually look kind of rounder today. And instead of proactively trying to seek out changes that have been made in your physique, it's more you react or you notice changes that have come to your physique passively rather than actively trying to seek them out. And that's what happens when you just focus on the workout from day to day. I think as soon as you notice that first bicep vein or that first time you look in the mirror and think, geez, I think I'm actually looking kind of swole today. Like the pump is just sick. From there, it's smooth sailing because now you realize that it's actually possible to make a change to your physique. It's just the fact that it takes time. So once you realize and see that positive feedback, I think you're just addicted. And now you're constantly seeking out that new vein or those new striations in your shoulder. And then eventually you just get to the point where you now have a top 1% physique because you're addicted to training. And I think it just takes a few months. Get past those first few initial months of training and you'll see something change. And from there, you'll be motivated to go to the gym. Training won't be so hard. You'll want to go train and you never be satisfied with your physique. Of course, you can be happy with how you look. I certainly am. But there's always room for improvement. And I think as guys, that's just the inherent masculine trait that males have. A drive to always be better and push for more. So while you can be happy with your physique, you'll never be 100% satisfied with it. And that's why you're continually going to be in the gym, trying to get that new vein, trying to get those new striations, trying to bring out that one small muscle that you have in your shoulder to make your physique more well-rounded. So how do you build discipline and make sure that you're training every day, or at least consistently, and also making sure that you're eating the right foods every day as well, at least 95% of the time? The first thing you can do is deliberately try to train your skill of discipline. So discipline is all about doing things that you don't want to do. And you can specifically seek out activities or things that you feel resistance towards doing. One of the things that you can do is take a cold shower. A cold shower is obviously extremely uncomfortable, but by deliberately seeking out a cold shower and getting in there for however long you want to, you're specifically doing something that you don't want to do. And with any skill, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. So the more you get into a cold shower, the more you're training your skill of discipline. And that bleeds into all aspects of your life, whether it be work, study, gym, sticking to the right foods. The second point I want to make here is something that I touched on earlier, but it's that once you just continually stick to the good habits, going to the gym, eating correctly, over time, it just gets easier. And over time, the more you do it, the more it becomes ingrained in your identity and personality. And therefore, you're less likely to deviate from your identity or personality. And it becomes a lot easier to go to the gym every day because that's just who you are. It's a lot easier to eat chicken for lunch every day because, again, that's just what you do. And the last point I want to make is you need to reduce friction between you and the good habits, but increase friction between you and the bad habits. So what I mean by this is you need to make it as easy as possible to go to the gym. You need to make it as easy as possible to eat clean. You need to make it as hard as possible to not go to the gym and make it as hard as possible to eat garbage food that is not going to achieve your goals. So for example, if you have a gym or if your gym membership is at a gym that's a 45-minute drive away, well, you're just going to be so much less likely to go to the gym because it's an hour and 30 minutes that it's going to take you to drive there and back. So because it just requires so much more effort on your part to go to the gym, then you're incredibly less likely to train. On the other hand, where your gym is 5 minutes away from where you live, and sometimes maybe you can even get there within 2 minutes if there's no traffic, then it's so much easier on your brain to justify why you should go to the gym because it's not going to take as much time. In a similar vein, if you're someone that works full time every day and you have to be at work at 9, you could get a gym membership that's perhaps right next to where you work. And that way you can go to the gym before your work, have a shower, get dressed, and then go to work. And you don't have to do 2 separate commutes to do that. And in saving a lot of time that way, you're going to be, again, more likely to go to the gym because you're saving time and it's not as much of an effort as it would be to do 2 separate commutes if you had a gym membership that perhaps wasn't on the way to work. Similarly, with food, if you have junk food that's littered across your house and it's constantly in your sight, then you're going to be more likely to pick up that chocolate bar that's in the bowl on your living room table and eat it because it's simply in your house and in your sight. The easiest thing to do is just remove them from your house altogether. So if you don't have any junk food in your house, then the friction between you having to get up, get into your car, go to the supermarket, find where the chocolate is in the supermarket, buy the chocolate from the supermarket, and then come home, it's a huge effort to do that. And most people would Siebes to do that. Siebes is CBS, stands for can't be stuffed, by the way. And because it's a Siebes, then you're more likely to not go and get chocolate and eat chocolate because there's just more friction between you and eating chocolate. I know that a lot of people live with other people that have these garbage foods in the house, so it's not always possible to just completely get rid of all the junk in your house. So the way I would go about increasing friction between you and that junk food is just to try have it out of your sight as much as possible. So for example, if you have a bowl of chocolates on your dining room table, which is where you have dinner every night, try and move that bowl to a different room in your house. And then that way, once you go and have dinner, you're not even going to see that bowl of chocolate and therefore you're going to be less likely to eat it. Or you could just put it in the pantry where you never go, or put it somewhere where you never go. And once it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Then on the flip side of that, in terms of eating the good foods, you have to reduce the amount of friction between you and eating good food. One huge Siebes point in terms of eating good food is that you have to cook. And the whole process of cooking is a lot of effort. So you've got to prepare the food, you've got to cook it, and then you've got to clean up as well. And doing that every day for perhaps lunch and dinner is a huge effort that is going to increase the friction between you and eating healthy. So a workaround to that is just to put all of your meal preparation on one day of the week. And you can knock out a whole week's worth of meals in perhaps an hour or so. And you only have to do one set of preparation, cooking, and cleaning up. Once you've prepared your meals for the week, you just chuck them in the fridge, and every time you want to eat, You just put it in the microwave and it's as simple as that. Your food's ready within a couple of minutes and you don't have to do that much cleaning either. So when you do that, the friction between you and eating good food is so much lower, making you more likely to eat the good food that will ultimately progress you to where you want to be with your physique. So I think everyone knows what it takes to build a sick physique. It's just that no one does it. And it all just comes back to your mindset and discipline. So if you learned something from this video, or you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. We are getting to 1,000 subscribers. Also, feel free to drop a like or a comment. Always interested to hear your thoughts and what you're implementing in your life.